hear us? Hello, everybody. Can you hear us? I see the hearts. You can hear us. Okay. So, hey, God bless. We're here.
Is that a sign of a sound?
Is that a sign of a sign of a sound? Thank you. Thank you. God bless. Yes. Hello. Yes.
So we are being heard.
It was hard, but thank God we're here. So we're not going to waste a lot of time. We're going to get into our lesson. Yes,
right, good.
We're on the cell phone, so I know we're a little tight here, but praise God. At least we're here.
We might be about the same.
About the same. You think so?
Yeah, my head ain't that big.
He switched. We're gonna shrink his head a little bit, so we can fit on.
No time for jokes.
No time for jokes. Okay, you're gonna tell who we are.
We are the Crosses.
Yes.
This is my lovely, effervescent wife, Evelyn, and I am her husband.
My handsome fawn.
And my name is Irvin, and we are apostle elects, and we are from the Liberty Temple Church and World and Outreach Ministries, and we are part of the Liberty Network.
The LIN, yes.
LIN Network, and our Chief Apostle Clifford Turner is our overseer, founder, spiritual advisor, and all of those good things.
Yes.
And Apostle Shereen Lathan is our pastor. And,
yes.
And we just celebrated her
64.
Birthday. You said 64.
Had a wonderful time.
Yeah, so it was wonderful.
Yes,
wonderful,
it was.
Well deserved.
Yes.
And we just want to send out some shout outs to her.
Yes, thanks for the heart. Thanks for the love. And, yes, send up that love.
And so we just glad to be back in whatever form God allowed us to come through. And we design ourselves to always be in a defense posture when the enemy shows up. We have to stand our grounds, and we have fought this evening to come
get
to
on
you.
here. Yes,
yeah, because this subject, obviously it's well
Thanks
needed.
Thanks for joining us.
And
we're on the phone, so your writing is very small. Can't hardly see it, even with my glasses on. But thanks for joining. And we want to thank our WebView audience.
Yes.
We thank you guys for joining. And we know that you guys have a lot of things you could be doing, but we appreciate you tuning in.
Yes.
We have a great subject tonight, and we've been trying to get this topic out for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the enemy has been fighting us like crazy.
Yes.
And I wonder why. I wonder why. It took 5 tries to get on tonight.
We got iPad 3, iPad 4, and all of
but
stuff.
God
nothing
was working.
No.
But God. So the topic tonight is the ins and outs of an argument. Wow,
yes.
wow. Yes. Have we had arguments, sweetheart?
Oh my goodness, not really. No, not.
We don't have knockdown, drag out.
We haven't had not one single argument.
You're right.
Since we've been married.
Hey, God.
Most of them were double.
God wants the truth, okay?
I said it wasn't single, it was double.
Double argument. Every marriage, every relationship, well, I won't say every, but most relationship they have arguments.
Yeah, that's a good relationship.
And arguments can be very healthy.
Yeah.
But it depends on what type of arguments that you have and where you and how you argue. The Bible tells us to be angry and sin not.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't argue by Christians should be arguing or settling arguments by pulling out their 3 their magnet. They should be pulling out guns and knives, and they shouldn't be settling arguments that way. There should be a better way. God teaches us a better way to handle arguments, especially in relationships, especially in marriages. Any relationship that you have, there are certain rules for arguments, okay? Just because you get mad with someone, that does not mean you have the right to expose all their secrets they have shared with you, or all their vulnerabilities. You can't do that, because once you put it out there, once you open your mouth and it comes out of your mouth, you can't go back. You can't put it back no matter how much you say that you're sorry, because words can hurt. And they really hurt when they're coming from people that you really love. No one can hurt you worse than somebody that you really love. So when you're arguing, there should be rules set. And I used to hear older people back in the day say, you shouldn't hit below the belt. So that means that you shouldn't hit so hard or punch so hard that it hurt that it's non-recoverable. You can't cover it. So you should make sure that if you're arguing with someone, that you don't just lose it totally and just lose yourself and say things that can't be put back. Yeah. What do you say?
Well, I agree. The reason people hit below the belt, mainly because they're really...
Hi, Sierra.
They're really not arguing, because argument in and of itself is a disagreement. So, what have you done?
Go on.
Hi. It is a disagreement. It's supposed to be, and we are supposed to disagree agreeably.
Agreeably.
We agree to disagree.
Yes.
And so, you know, the one thing about arguments is you have to realize that you have to be coming from a good place, not a bad place in your spirit, you know. Because, see, when you're coming from a bad place in your spirit and you argue with your spouse or with your significant other, your children, then the intensity of it takes it to a bad place. And this is what creates...
Well, I have a question. Is it possible to argue without being angry?
Absolutely, when you mature.
Yeah, because you can tell someone how you feel. We should speak the truth in love, right? And we should take people's feelings into consideration. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Even when you're angry, do you want somebody calling you out your name and calling you every name except a child of God? I mean, cursing you out, you know. Do you want someone to treat you like that? And if you don't want anyone to treat you like that, you shouldn't be treating someone else like that. This is when we start growing up. Children usually just lose it and lose self-control, and they're all out of it, and they don't care. I don't care. I'm mad, and I want you to know it. That is very immature and very childish. Well, and we should be, as adults, have some type of restraint about ourselves, because, like I said, there's things that you could say that could never... There's things that you could say that can never be retracted.
That's true.
I mean, so you have, your words have to be, you have to choose your words wisely, even in anger.
Well, one root, like you mentioned, anger. One root that we have to really come to grips with, and that's where God said in His Word, vengeance is mine.
It's mine.
And the spirit of vindictiveness.
Yes.
When that's basic structure in an argument, now you're into the last word demons that you're going to be wrestling with. Yes. Who's going to get the last word?
Exactly.
You know, who's going to put the cap on this thing? And then the retaliation, you know, because, see, this is why when we have spirits of revenge and vindictiveness, we have to quell those spirits in our members.
Exactly.
If we don't get rid of that spirit in relationship and in marriages, you're going to have problems, because the retaliation, the need to get back,
exactly,
it's enormous, and it will ruin any conversation or any kind of rebuke.
Exactly.
You know, everything is taken wrong.
Exactly.
So,
and know this, guys, no matter what you say to that woman or to your wife or a female, they will never forget it. And they will tell you 10 years from now, I remember when you called me a chicken head. Or I remember when you called me a slut. Or I remember when you called me the B word. Yeah. They will never, ever ever forget
Well,
it.
that runs deep.
Yes, it runs deep. That's why you have to be careful what you say to say to someone.
Absolutely.
And remember, our subject is the ins and outs of a argument.
Yes.
You know, you're gonna argue. You know, there's some people I've heard that we've never had an argument. She's my friend or he's my friend, and we never had a disagreement. That is not a healthy relationship. It's not real.
No.
It's not real, because the first time that person make you upset, you guys are usually through.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because if you have relationships that your relationships are based on the fact that that person has never upset you, it's not a healthy relationship. A relationship that have been tried and tested over the time, those are healthy relationships.
Yes.
When you still have a friend or you have someone that you guys have disagreed with one another and you have come to an agreement that you guys, everything is okay and everything is cool, now those are healthy relationships because it's been tried and it's been tested.
Absolutely. And it's really born out of communication.
Yes.
You know, talking to each other.
Thanks for the love.
Not at each other.
Yes,
because when you talk at each other, you're not listening to what the other person is saying back to you. So you're not really communicating.
Exactly.
And a healthy relationship is communication is the base of it. So that way, when an argument comes up or a disagreement comes up, you listen to what the person's point of view is. And then you rebut, and when your rebuttal, you go back and forth. But at the same time, you come to a solution when you're communicating, because there's no combatants in the disagreement.
And there's nothing wrong with disagreement.
No.
Disagreement is healthy. If it's disagreed, if it's a legit disagreement, we are humans. And we have our own opinions.
Absolutely.
And everybody's allowed their opinion. And the way they see things, the way they was raised is different from you. And they're going to have disagreement. And it's okay. Yeah. But it's not okay when, what happens a lot of time is we as humans want to control. Okay? Mm-hmm. And we want you we want to control you, to persuade you to agree with everything we say. Mm-hmm. Because we want to be right. And and when we can't get that, now there's a problem. You don't like me anymore. I thought, well, how you going to disagree? But that's their prerogative. That's a person's prerogative to not agree with you. But the disagreement don't have to come to knots. We don't have to go to blows because we disagree. It's okay to disagree. Know this if you don't get anything else from us tonight. Know it's okay to do. And you can do it, especially in a marriage. Yeah. You can say,
that's very
good.
True.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, you can, in a marriage or in a relationship, you can say, look, with all due respect, that's good, but I kind of slightly disagree with that. There's a way you can let people know that you disagree with them without, that's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. Now, those fighting words. Yeah. You can't be disrespectful to someone and act like you know it all, and you are the walking encyclopedia. You're walking Miss Google. Okay, you Google. You Miss Google everything. You know everything. Okay, he knows everything, and you don't know anything. That is disrespecting one another. Absolutely. And you should never be disrespectful to one another. Not even your children. Your children, God raised them up. You're supposed to raise them up in the way that they should go. And you're supposed to teach them that it's okay to have an opinion. And you can say anything respectfully, but you don't break their spirit. The Bible tells us not to break their spirit, but at the same time, you don't let them be rude and disrespectful to you, but you allow them to have, to say, well, Mama, I think I don't understand why you put me in the room and put me on timeout. Well, you disagree. I disagree with you. I understand why I did it, because you did this and da 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 da. Well, I just don't get it. Well, that's your opinion.
And if he came to you and say, Mama, I totally disagree with you putting me in timeout. Now, that's a whole nother matter.
Well, it depends. Like I said, with me, it depends on how they approach me. I used to tell my daughter, Sarah, I used to tell her that you can talk to me about anything, as long as it's respectful. Mm-hmm. Don't come to me like I'm your girlfriend and disrespect me and saying any old foul thing to me. It's not going to work, okay? But if you come to me respectfully, we can sit down and have a conversation. And that's the same way with your spouse, with your children, with your boss, with your friends. You can tell them anything, I'm sure. And if you can't, you might need to look for some more friends, especially if you're grown. You are over 18 years old, and you have a husband, wife, or you have a education, you have a career, or you just a grown person.
Well, you know, one thing that I found out in arguing, in the point of arguing, sometimes you have to find the tinge of agreement in the other side of your argument that's being made, and you lock in with that part that you can't agree on, and then if you feel really adamantly that you are right, then you just wait. And eventually the truth comes
now,
out.
There's a good
because I be right so many times when I do that, and it
pray
works.
Lord, pray
it
Lord.
works in my favor.
Pray Lord, pray Lord.
See, she giving that.
Pray Lord, pray Lord. But you have to use the key to it is like my husband say, it's important to listen to one another. Most arguments come because we don't listen to each other.
Right.
I know we have disagreement. Most of our disagreements come when he don't hear me, or I don't hear him, and we don't get a good understanding because we have so many things going on in our mind. You have, maybe you have school, maybe you have a job, you have children, you have family, you have 100 things on your mind, and when somebody tell you something, you have listening. And when you have to listen to an important point and you miss that point, and someone asks you about that point that they thought it was very, very significant to them, and then you can't respond, or you respond with the wrong answer, now they feel slightly, you weren't listening to me. And especially, this is what get me, ladies. Especially when they say they hear you. And you say, are you sure you hear me? You hear me? Yes, I hear you. And then they don't hear you. Now, that can be very frustrating. But at the same time, maturity as we grow and understand that, things happen, and for whatever reason, when we love each other, we forgive. And we have to move on.
Everybody notice how quiet I'm being. Because, because there is an enemy called misconstruence. and
selective hearing.
Well,
ladies, there are selective hearing. They hear sometimes guys they shut down on us because we talk a lot. Okay, we talk to our girlfriends. We share how we feel. Okay, a lot of us are easy to share how we feel. We want them to share how they feel, and a lot of times they're not wired that way. And so now, how do you come to mediate when there's a conversation, for example, with the kids? Okay, I didn't see that. But how do you come to a meeting when it's a conversation between the kids? That's a good question. Now, both of you got to be on the same page. I mean, you have to be on the same page. Come to some kind of agreement how you're going to raise your kids. Because if you don't have a basic structure of how you're going to raise your children, everything is going to be a battle.
Well, one thing, you don't settle anything with the child without getting with your spouse and coming with one voice.
Yes.
Of agreement
yes.
on the issue that you want to settle with the child.
Exactly.
Because if one say one thing and then the other say another, game change. I mean,
they will figure it out, and they're going to use you, and all it's going to do is destroy your home because now you have division in your home, and there's no. I'm going to tell you right now, there's no most powerful thing in the world than an agreement between a husband and a wife. Right. God honors that. I mean, things move, so many things,
Absolutely.
Good things happen for you. But when the devil knows, and like I said, going back to the foundation, when you guys got married, or when you was dating, it would have been a good chance to sit down and talk about how we're going to raise our children. Because when you discuss how you're going to raise your children, parenting skills should have been in.
Yeah.
Because we come from different homes, different backgrounds. And a lot of times what happened, you might believe in discipline, and you might not believe in discipline. You may believe in corporate punishment, and you may not believe in it. We got to come. How are we going to raise the kids? Do you believe in spanking? Do you not believe in spanking? Do you? How are we going to raise these kids? Do you believe in punishment? You know, and and give examples, because you need to be on the same page.
Absolutely.
It's not the time to get on the same page when the kids come. No. You should have some type of idea. But once you get there, and you have kids now, and that was not taken care of, now what do? We have to go and sit down and come to some conclusions of how we're going to raise kids. Never, ever, ever, ever discuss how to raise the kids in front of the kids.
No.
Never. Not even. I have a disagreement.
Yeah.
Mama said yes. Daddy said no. Well, why can't they do it?
No,
that is ugly. Ugly. You lose. Everybody lose.
Yeah.
So you come to an agreement, and you pray and ask God to help you come to that type of agreement. Because once you come into that agreement, once you can come in an agreement, most of your house, you begin to see your household change.
Absolutely.
Everything in your house will change. God loves that. He just favor you all over the place because he honors that. He loves that.
You can't even have a disagreement in front of your dog.
He gonna bite somebody.
The dog is gonna know that he's getting 2 points of view. So it's real. I mean,
it is
you
real.
You have to be in agreement when it comes down to anything outside of your bedroom.
Exactly.
You have to come out with one voice.
You got to. Because believe me, it's going to affect everything you do.
No
It would affect how you feel about each other. It affects how you love each other. It affects how the children, how you treat. Because if you can't, the Bible tells us that don't let the sun go down on your wrath. Why do you think he told us that? Yes. Because you go to sleep with that anger in you, and it festers.
Yes.
And it turns into something else, and you bury it deep down inside of you. And then a year later, you be like, I remember when you said, you called me fat. Or you said my feet was too big. Or my nose was too big. And now, and everything else has built on top of that.
Arguing. You get in an argument.
And it comes up.
And the base of the argument is about what you called me a year ago.
And it's not even about what it is now. No. Most of our arguments, it's not even about what you're arguing about today. Yeah. It's some unresolved issues, believe that.
And that's generally what men have to face with their women.
Yes.
So let's just make it real.
And guys.
We don't never know what we're being.
And guys, check this out.
Jumped on about.
Check this out. Never, ever pick a fight when she PMSing or that time of the month. Don't. You have to be discerning. Like we have to keep up with the time of the month. You need to be keeping up with our time of the month because you're not gonna. It's no way you're gonna win that argument. You might have won it a million times before, but this particular day you ain't winning that argument.
I'm glad she's saying it because believe me, I got it all figured out.
Oh God, you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win that argument. So you need to make sure that you know what time of month it is so that you can win this, so you can, you can be sensitive. And I know you say that's not fair, but life, unfortunately, is not fair.
Who's saying it's not fair?
That's what men say. It's not fair that they have to know our schedule and they have to be discerning us.
Yes, it is fair. It's fair that you stay healthy and stay mentally sane. Because I tell all the brothers, do the morning check. In the morning, you know exactly what time it is. So I call it the temperamental check. And you check to see what the temperament is in the morning. And that's how you know what time it is. Because generally that's when the triggers start flowing. And you know that it's in that cycle. So
But be warned.
And it's very subtle. So this is
Be
one of the
warned.
things. I don't know. Very few people talk about this, but it's so real. I have a wealth of experience in this area. So this is why I can truly talk about it. And I've learned how to navigate this, and because it's so real, it's something that I come to realize, and I really honestly believe that most spousal abuses are born out of this traumatic situation, because there's so many men that don't understand the transition that takes place, and it's really a metamorphosis, and that even I don't think women even understand themselves. So it's like, but they really come to appreciate you when you work with them through these times, because when you come to understand it, you start learning to take the high road, and don't get into the little petty arguments, because they be trying to pull you in and pull you in.
No, we be trying to pull you in. I don't try to put baby. Come on now.
I got a great scenario.
Oh Lord.
Great scenario.
My goodness.
You come in the house, and it's 80 degrees outside, sunny, slight breeze, and low humidity in Chicago. And you come in the house and you say to your spouse, "Oh, it's a beautiful day out." And she responds to you, "I just come in. I don't think it's that nice out." Now, most men, they'll say, "What, are you crazy? This has got to be the prettiest day of the year." And she said, "Can I have an opinion? I don't think it's that nice out." Go the other way. Go to the high road, because it's that time. And these things happen because the reason I can say that, it's happened to me. So it is just that I learned over the years, these are the little signs, they little petty things.
Exactly.
And
that's true.
They draw you into just a petty argument.
Exactly.
And here's the thing, it will, if it ain't settled and you keep arguing, then the next time it'll just carry over into something else. And all of a sudden you got an ongoing thing.
Oh, teach them. Yes.
And so this is why, and men, I mean, truly, I'm telling you, most young men, they don't understand.
They don't have a clue.
They don't understand it, and they get caught up in a battle that they just are not going to win.
Exactly.
And fur fly, and then all of a sudden, the next day, it's like, what are you talking about?
The storm has calmed.
What are you talking about? What argument? That wasn't nothing. And so you just say, okay, all right, maybe I'm crazy. And this keeps going on.
Every month.
Yeah. And so what happened, most men, when they have a wife and they want to be the man of the house, they want to fix this thing. See, they want to fix you and make sure that we don't go through this again, so I'm going to fix this, And then all of a sudden, it's back again.
Every month.
It's
learned. This is why you learn your spouse.
Yes.
This is why that's why you hear people say marriage is hard work. This is part of that work. It's learning and discerning and praying and fasting for your spouse.
And what's that scripture about dwell with her, telling the men to dwell with her, because she's the weaker vessel?
That passed my skipped my mind. It dazed me right now. My brain is frozen. It's the end of the day.
This time of day, it is not easy, and we are not. We're Bible based, but we're not a Bible class. So
no, we're not a Bible class,
no.
but it's good to know. The scripture it just invades us right now. We know it. But now, check this out.
Dwell with her according to knowledge, because she's the weaker vessel. That's
there you go. See, I
told I really believe that it's tied right in.
Of course, God ordained marriage.
Yes.
And He said what He's put together, let nobody take it. And so He knows our ins and He knows our out. But back to our subject, the ins and outs of arguments. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can avoid an argument. Mm-hmm. Like my husband say, when you see it coming, you can, so you can go, you're right. The Bible say, agree with your adversaries quickly. This is that
was to the brothers at that time of month.
This is what you have to deal with. You have to know these things, knowledge, understand. Just like when you go to school and you major in a subject. And you learn that subject before you go on that job. You know the subject. You should also study the company that you want to work for, so you'll be knowledgeable. This is the same thing. You know them who you labor with. Know your spouse. Know your family. Know your children. You should know your child. You should know they're gonna act crazy. You study people. Yeah. This is part of love. It's knowing them.
Absolutely.
And with the men, since my husband is so eloquently show you how we act up and how to evade or avoid us during that monthly time. You have to know, ladies, that when you're dealing with your spouse or you're dealing with a male, you cannot step on their ego. Okay? If you want to get rid of a man real quick, if you want to lose all respect, if you want that man to stop being in love with you, we're not talking about loving you. Okay, they always love you, brother or sister, but you want them to stop being in love with you, then you crush their male ego. Yes. Now, we've heard a lot about this. I know I had. I didn't even know what they were talking about. I just took it at face value. But crushing a male ego is embarrassing him or not listening to him and acting like he don't know what he's talking about and putting him down or trying to control him and treat him like a child. That's the quickest way to crush a man's ego. And you do not want to, if you don't want to crush his ego, if you want that man to be in love with you, you got to build him up. And how do you build him up? It sounds superficial and everything, but you got to stroke his ego. Baby, you fine. Baby, you smart. Man, that was so intelligent. Wow. I married you for your brains.
Do you know that men have no defense for compliments? We have no defense.
That's why you compliment him. So he won't go out here and be a sucker and fall all over the place for some compliment in the street. You compliment him and build him up in the house. And then and I'm going to tell you what I've learned these last 13 years from this one right here.
This one right here.
This one right over here. What I've learned is that you have to, men are, they love to talk and be right, even when they're not right. Like the woman of God said yesterday, they like to be right and they don't want you to tell them when they're wrong. There is a unique way. There's a gift, a talent that you have to develop to let them know when they're wrong. Sometimes women, your best thing is to just shut up and let them have it their way and just leave it alone. That's the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to just leave them alone. Okay. Just leave them alone. And as you leave them alone, it'll come back around. Yeah. It'll come back around and you'll get a chance to say what you want to say. Yeah. But they'll respect you because they feel like, oh, my wife, she lets me say, she builds me up. And they go out and they brag. And this is where their manhood come in at. But when you crush them down and tell them, you don't know what you're talking about. You need to shut up.
Oh, my goodness.
You ain't talking about nothing. And always putting them down. You're not going to have no love.
Well, you're not going to have no husband.
Now, I've seen them stay with them. I've seen some men stay with them.
Yeah, but
they're not in love.
But you don't know what's going on when he leave the house.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody's building him up.
Somebody. Because this is what happens with a lot of married women. Don't understand that if you don't give these ingredients to a man, I mean, you have friends, girlfriends, and they watch how you treat your man. If you ain't treating him right, I'm telling you, girlfriend will.
You know what it's called? It's called the cleanup woman. There's a song in the world called the cleanup woman.
They start coming behind and cleaning up your act. And I mean,
good man, I'll take it.
But see, this is one of the reasons why, and this is what dropped in my spirit a long time ago, why the gentleman clubs are so popular. It is one of the most booming businesses running out there, and because men go to these clubs.
You are teaching me some deep stuff. Praise God.
these men go to these clubs because they're looking for a just somebody to talk to them. I mean, I've heard the people that work in these